Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Saturday, it's already March 1st, 2025, and today's topic will be going to be sketching an elephant head. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused and build a habit. I'm going to start a 10-minute timer. But yeah, so this page I started on the 26th of February, so several days ago, and I was just drawing the skeleton, not really trying to be that accurate, but like getting the proportions accurate. But today I wanted to use the ideas that I brought up in the past couple of videos, so angles and lines and forms and values, and I'll use the concepts, but I'll be sketching like an elephant head right here. And I'm choosing like a profile, so it's just I just searched for an elephant. So yeah, again, there's different approaches obviously to drawing things. I'm being methodical about it. So for example, in the angles and lines video from like a couple of days ago, I talked about establishing proportions. So I'm going to I want it to be like right here. If I kind of have like the boundaries right here, like this is like the center, and this is without a bunch of guidelines. You can also use pencil. The reference is actually like the full body, but I'm gonna zoom in, and so I thought that would be kind of a good example. So if I were to kind of eyeball it, it looks like the center is actually the trunk area, so it's kind of like right here, and then I'm going to put the tusk. So again, I'm just wanting to play around with the brush pen. So once I've begun to do this, I pretty much have, like, I'm pretty much going to go with this. So I'm basically just going to use this as like the measurement right there, and just go off of the reference photo. So in the reference photo, this was basically like the middle. And if I have that, then I have the rest of the proportions. Again, you can use a pencil I would recommend it if you're still getting used to measurement. And I'm just not wanting to make it too messy because I'm using pen and ink here. And then once you get this, then it's just really about the rest of I pretty much have the proportion right there. So then it's just about drawing something interesting, making it look like an elephant. And sort of utilizing the tool that you're using. So for example, brush the shadow areas. So going back to what I was saying about the other videos, so I'm using the angles now that I have the proportion. I'm not really thinking about the fact that it's an elephant or any, I'm just kind of going off of, but like the proportions help with the like angles. And I'm being pretty loose with it because I'm using a brush, so that's kind of the look. So I'm kind of combining the value part. So there's angles, there's lines, and then there's form. So I'm kind of thinking about the shadows, which is what's causing the forms, and I'm keeping it mostly black and white. And part of this is because it helps me to get used to painting. I mean, this is kind of a good approach to if I were to paint. And I'm just kind of squinting at the picture. So part of it is this brush is kind of running out. I'm just kind of doing a dry brush on it, dry brush technique. So once I kind of have the basic proportion, so then the next one I'm going to think a little bit more about like the form basically. And to do that, to think about like the form, so basically if this part is off, then work on this part and you can use a pencil or something like that. Think about like the darkest areas. So this is where we think about like the form and the value part, and it'll bring out the forms a little bit more. So for example, if this is the darkest, so again, this is only if I think the sketch looks okay, which it looks okay to me. So what I'm going to do is establish like the darkest value. Now, one thing I did want to point out, especially since yesterday's video was about value or forms and values, is that it doesn't always have to be like the black, doesn't always have to be the darkest value. I could have left the values like this and it would be more less contrast. So when we talk about the full value range, like that's how you get like a full value range, is if you say that this is actually the darkest right here, and then the white of the paper would be white, and then you would do like the mid-tone. So at this point, I'd already established the light and dark. I have the sketch, so I'm going to basically push the value. So that's the idea behind values. And then the form is being pushed by the darkest areas. You're pushing it backwards. So it's kind of it's a mixture of the lighting itself causing all this, but then also the sculpting of it, because that's the illusion of 3D, if that's what you're going for. If you're wanting it to have that kind of form to it. The other way would have been to just, I guess, outline it or something. Now, the next stage, so this is still light and dark. The next stage would be like detail, because of all the wrinkles and stuff. And there's different approaches. Could use a smaller brush. I would, or like a pen. I would just kind of stick with this for a while and see how much detail I can get just with this brush pen. Now for the highlights and stuff, I might go in with like a white pen. I'll just do it for this demonstration. It has some highlights. So I'm just using like a paint, Sharpie paint thing. The other thing I was going to say is I might use this thin just to get like a look. So it's like a fine point. You can begin by using like parallel lines to just add like a gray tone to it, since there's really no, like that would be like the light, and then that'll be like the brightest. And I'm just using like a parallel cross hatching just for simple, keeping it simple. So at the point where I'm adding the mid-tone, to me that's going into detailing, the detail stage. So yeah, I'm going to keep it parallel just to begin with. And I'm using my whole arm basically. To me, the next step would be the detail. Smaller shapes is really what details is about. So I might, and again, this is kind of just like the look of it. Part of it is because I can do sort of a dry brush effect because this brush is running out. So I'm just gonna take advantage of that. So I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you for joining me today for our daily sketching routine. If you like these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.